There's an old adage that particularly applies to the sport of boxing. The bigger they come, the harder they fall. This past Saturday's WBA championship fight at the light heavyweight division between champion Dimitri Bivol and challenger and former 168-pound WBO champ, titleist, Bivol Ramirez, was fought in Abu Dhabi, and both men brought the best of what they could to the ring. It is an undeniable fact that the best of what one has to bring sometimes just isn't good enough. Let's recap what happened Saturday, November 5th in Abu Dhabi. Sometimes boxing delivers. This past Saturday, broadcast live on DAZN from Abu Dhabi, Dimitri Bivol defended his WBA light heavyweight title against Bivol Ramirez in a 12-round championship fight that saw these two men, who had been circling one another in the sport over the past couple of years, finally come together. Both fighters brought something that you just don't see in today's boxing. They brought their undefeated records, and they brought what's still available and accessible of their primes to the sport. We are not seeing enough of quality opposition facing one another. And it could be said that after this performance by Bivol, you have to wonder about Ramirez's true abilities in boxing. I won't rain down upon his performance. It's like a scene out of a movie. Particularly one of my favorites, Hoodlum, with Lawrence Fishburne, where he was playing Bumpy Johnson. And he had this line he would say, "When you just don't know, you just don't know." And I do believe that on Saturday, that was Gilberto Ramirez. He just didn't know. And it's unfortunate because he thought that Dimitri Bivol was shallow. He thought that quite possibly Bivol may not have been up to his challenge. How wrong he was. In this fight, Bivol proved that his recent victory over Canelo Alvarez was indeed no fluke. Facing Alvarez earlier this year in May, Bivol went on to score a unanimous decision which shocked some observers and impressed others, such as myself, because when that fight was signed, I wasn't certain if Bivol was taking on that challenge due to the lucrative purse that he would receive for facing Canelo. We have seen other past titleists accept an opportunity with provisions with Canelo, typically tipping the scales in favor of Canelo. So we were uncertain. But as the rounds went on in that fight, and Bivol began to display his championship medal, he proved that he belonged at the top of the sport. See, there's only so much room because some fighters are pretenders, others are the real deal. But when they're not facing one another, it's typically hard for the people to sort through exactly what they're looking at. Such is the case with Gilberto Ramirez. He of the record now of 44-1 with 30 knockouts, standing 6'2.5" with a 75-inch reach. We knew that he was a physical presence and was probably more than likely weight bullying at 168. And seeing that Canelo had stated he was not going to fight Mexican fighters going forward, there was no chance of seeing the two Mexican fighters mix it up. After observing Bivol's win over Canelo, Ramirez vowed to avenge his Mexican brother. Don't write checks that your rear can't cash. Another old saying. Especially when you have yet to display that you are tooled up, that you can win fights outside of just bullying and pressuring someone down and overwhelming them with your size and your strength and your weight. Skills, as they say, pay the bills. Bivol, who's 6 foot tall with a 72-inch reach, is the typical light heavyweight champion prototype size. In this day and age of fighters, we're seeing a number of guys who they can weigh in on fight night. Well, at the weigh-in for these bouts, they can make the weight, but they will typically come in much higher. Oh, he's a growing boy, they say. Well, you still have to fight. And in this case, what we were able to see was something that nobody had banked on. And that would be Bivol using his skill set, his ring generalship, boxing IQ, and technical capabilities as he peppered Ramirez with jabs, countering shots. And definitely within the first couple of rounds, he tagged Ramirez with something that made Ramirez rethink matters. Was it a single punch? I don't know. Was it the fact that he could hit with quickness? More than likely. He countered Ramirez's punches. And though Ramirez wanted to throw, he kept his hands home a lot more than he is typically accustomed to doing. They didn't bank on that. The right hands that found their way home, and a beautiful left hook that came over the southpaw Ramirez's right jab. Bivol has studied him well. Ramirez was not accustomed to getting hit with shots as fast and frequent as Bivol executed. And he executed these shots in combinations. Never the same old shots, but mixing up his arsenal. Hooks, uppercuts, rights, step over pivot moves, rights, hooks, jabs. Mixing them up in succession. Ramirez's cornermen were telling him falsehoods. They spoke about Bivol being afraid, he was wearing him down, he's taking his heart. None of that was on display to me. What I saw was a fighter, a champion, who was coming into his own, especially off of the victory over Canelo Alvarez. He received a decision over Alvarez that was closer than the fight. But he came away from that with a confidence that may not have been there before. The talent was there. It's always been there. But now, when a fighter believes he can get it done, it's almost like that first time a guy wins a championship, and the championship can make him 10 to 15% better if he won it from a real champion. And that's what I see in Bivol. And man, did he fight like he was the boss. If you go back and watch the fight, Ramirez was primarily kept in the center of the ring, was forced to move backwards many occasions, was given angles, and was never allowed to get into a rhythm which benefited himself. He made absolutely no adjustments. But this is the biggest key to everything that you may have witnessed from that fight. In the latter rounds, knowing that he could be behind on points, Bivol never went for broke. No reckless abandon, no balls out, go for it. Complacency had set in, and he was pleased to go the distance. I remember taking notes during this fight, and I said, I noticed something that I'm seeing that you don't see a lot of today as well. Bivol kept his hands up and kept his hands on his opponent. Heavy shots, peppering shots, stinging shots, a variety, not one-dimensional at all. Zurdo, as they call Ramirez, was not accustomed to being backed up. And boy, was he backed up. Round 9 in particular was a scintillating round for Bivol, who peppered him with all types of shots, 5, 6, 7 punch combinations, and kept him turning in a circle. I had never seen anyone do that to Ramirez before. He could not contend with the hand speed of Dmitry Bivol. He was not able to adjust to the ring generalship of Bivol. It was as early as the 4th round that I noticed that Bivol had a look of concern on his face in the corners. Why was that? Because he was taken out of the fight. He was really fighting an uphill battle, and they did not have the answers for him. But that's okay. When you lose like this, it means you have to go back to the drawing board and polish up, retool your toolbox. Bring something outside of size, aggression, and a bully mindset. You can actually say Bivol bullied the bully, and you wouldn't be wrong. He kept the fight in the center of the ring. He countered immediately off of Ramirez's offense. When you're worried about the incoming, sometimes you don't have a map for what should be outgoing. I was of the thought process that he couldn't see Bivol's shots, which were varied. A tremendous performance by Dmitry Bivol. And based on these 2 matches alone, his victory now over Ramirez and his previous victory over Canelo Alvarez, I believe he is now ready for Artur Beterbiev. I needed to see some things that were not presented. This man knows how to command the fight. He knows how to control the tempo of a fight. He has a style that is difficult to contend with. So you bullies, plotters, punchers, and aggressors, you better bring some skill set with all of that. We know that Artur Beterbiev is a puncher, a dynamic one. But can he box and keep up with Bivol? It will remain to be seen. And though in his 16 to 17 fights, they're all knockouts by Beterbiev, will he be able to put rounds in the bank if Bivol is not getting hit clean? And that's another thing. His defense is on point. He keeps his hands up. He can block and defend against shots. His opponents land a low ratio of punches against him. So, the fight between the two champions for undisputed just got a lot closer. And with Bitterbeev's inactivity, it could be a key factor against a fighter who is younger. Bitterbeev is 36, 37 years old. So, my thoughts are Dmitry Bivol is on his way to ruling the 175-pound division. And he seems to really enjoy his craft. And man, is he crafty. This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. For more content like this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. What do you think about Dmitry Bivol's performance from Saturday night? And how do you foresee the big fight for Undisputed that's on the horizon now? Like I said, I think that road and path has just gotten narrower, and he is knocking at the door. That's all I have for you at this time. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.